You see that, family? They shutting us down. You see that? Ugh. Behold the pale horse. Ugh. They shutting us down, baby. They shutting us down. Now my phone went dead. No Illuminati conspiracies to keep this information from the masses. Just simple, my phone went dead. But I did have the battery charger, the portable battery attached. So really it shouldn't have went dead. So maybe they don't want this information out there, family. Ugh. But what was we talking about? Indentured servants. Oh yeah, let me say something too about indentured servants, indentured servitude. You had a responsibility towards your servants. They were not slaves. Although they might have been worked as hard as a slave, they had an out. And that out was usually after 7 years. This is where you get the concept of 7 years bad luck. But after that 7 years, you had to provide your servant with enough money to buy his own farm, his own land, outfits. You know what I mean? He was paid for his work, his labor. And he was paid to a point to where he could establish his own. Quincy Hyde he on the line with us. But yeah, indentured servants, like I said, the so-called master had a responsibility towards his servants. And when you start studying a lot of your history, you're going to find out that some of our people were placed into indentured servitude, but history records it as them being slaves. So, exactly, Raheem, architect. Yes, sir. What else did I want to talk about? Some things we pop. You know, when I be sitting at home, I be nailing shit on it. Bing, bang. I be dropping. You know, like I could sing in the shower type shit. Always a little apprehensive when I always get a little apprehensive when I get in front of the camera. You know, I'm used to being behind the camera. I'm more confident behind the camera, I should say. I feel like I have control over the situation, whereas live or in front of the camera, it just is what it is. But I'm all right. I'm an in the moment person. I got no problem dealing with that. You know, come from the days of being on stage with my dudes. Yeah, I used to be a part of a rap group. I used to do all that shit. I chased all them dreams, did all that in my 20s. I'm gonna go online and check out some of our old stuff. Just Google or go on YouTube and type in Ghetto Lands, GhettoLandz. And you know, you're gonna hear the group I was in. We had a large family we called the Madness family. Consisted of a bunch of different groups from Red Bank. And, you know, we was like, you know, we was the equivalent to a Wu-Tang Clan at the time. You know, obviously we all was God body. There's a couple of times we used to run into them at different talent shows and stuff. Cause this was before they blew up. You know what I'm saying? One time we performed at a Black something summit in Edison, New Jersey. Anybody who was in the circuit remembers those events they used to have at Edison. And they announced the Wu-Tang Clan as the Wong Tong Clan. And we was laughing and shit like, who the fuck is the Wong Tong Clan? This is when Fat Joe was first getting hot. I don't know if y'all remember Pudgy the Fat Bastard. He had a hot joint out at that time. So basically, you know, I'm a washed up rapper that didn't make it. Nah, I'm playing. But I want to say this to y'all. A lot of these so-called conscious scholars and teachers are washed up rappers who didn't even try. You understand? Who didn't even try. How do I know? Trust me, I know, because I got studio etiquette. I've been in real studios. I done paid real money. I know what it's like to be in a studio. And I know what it's like to be in a studio with somebody who don't know what the fuck they doing. So, just be careful. A lot of these people are really seeking fame. And this is the platform they pursue it on. You know what I mean? I don't like to talk about nobody. But if anybody bring it to me, I'm gonna fucking put them in their place. I don't give a fuck. Let me tell you something. Amaru Wabash, brother, I appreciate you. You always seeking that knowledge. You're always trying to, edify yourself. And that's how it starts, bro. You know what I mean? Continue what you're doing, bro. Keep asking questions. I remember my cousin used to be like, yo, all you do is ask questions. Stop asking so many questions. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking in my mind, how am I supposed to learn anything? But that's a question. So, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. As a kid, that's all I did was ask questions. So, ask questions, people. Ask your elders. Ask anybody who think can give you some information. Ask. Open your mouth. But yeah, I'm gonna call my man Quincy out. What's good, bro? We waiting on you to motherfucking do what you do, bro. We know you that nigga. We know you the man. Let's make this happen, man. I really want to do some work with you. We gonna make it happen, man. I know you got a lot going on. I know you stay in them books, you stay studying. But we got hook up, we got link up, get the people something, man. Who else out here? Tasha She. Woof. Tasha She goes in, she the truth. Nothing arrogant about her demonstrations. She just shares valuable information. She's somebody that's connected to her indigenous family. And yo, I bang for Tasha She, I bang for Quincy, I bang for Noble Pa, I bang for Raheem, Architect Soto, I bang for Hakeem Green, bang for Clico. And all these people I just named, none of us think the exact same thing. You know what I'm saying? But we all grounded in our love for indigenous cultures. And that should be the playing field that we come together on. You know what I mean? Got a lot of these different... See, the problem is people can't have unity because they're trying to unify philosophies. They're trying to unify beliefs. That's why you can't have the Hebrews and the Kemites agreeing on things, because they want to unify the beliefs. And they beliefs, a lot of times, have nothing to do with who they literally are. The history of your religion is not the history of who you are. See, so when you ask people about certain things, they'll jump right into the history books, start telling you about the Bible. But is that the history of your nation? The Bible is the history of a particular nation. Why are we trying to force that history on the entire world? You understand? Like, the stories being told in the Bible could have taken place anywhere. And that is the beauty of the book. These truths, these lessons can be applied everywhere. But when you start trying to make that shit literal, a nigga gonna tell you that goddamn the North Pole is Hoth because he believes in Yoda and he's justified what he believes as being real. So now if him to follow Yoda, he needs Star Wars to be real, he gonna start identifying places as the places he seen in this mythological world called Star Wars. Now that's not to say that we know Yoda is not real, but the wisdom Yoda shares, is that real? Can that be applicable to anybody? Yes, it can. But we don't need Yoda to be real to learn from the things he says. So all these people trying to overlay this biblical narrative on the world, that shit is crazy, and you get that shit from the white man. The white man needs to name everything. He needs to label everything. He needs to have some, because you understand, once you put a name on something, right, you're taking control over certain things. You're imposing your will and your domination on that. So we got to stop doing... Yeah, Quincy, I'm a real Star Wars fan, bro. Trust me. I was born in 70. Star Wars is the first movie I ever seen, 77. Blew my mind. Right after Star Wars, I saw Rocky. So those are like the two most important films in my life. Obviously, Rocky went a whole nother direction and kind of lost its luster. But them first three Rockies was crazy. I don't know if y'all was old enough to know what it was like when a new Rocky was coming out. We was going nuts. Trust me. I'm gonna tell you a secret. I seen Rocky at Count Basie Theater in Red Bank with my family. I was so caught up into this shit. During the final scene, I jumped up full of tears and yelled, "Kill that nigger Rocky." How crazy is that? I was 7 and I yelled, "Kill that nigger Rocky." I was so into the show. And that shows that at 7 years old, I had already been influenced by racism, though I wasn't even directly exposed to it, because where I'm from, my family was revered. You understand? Nobody talked bad about my family where I'm from. We were revered as the indigenous people. We the ones that was here, and the town celebrated it. Nobody called us niggas in my town. So what the hell made me at 7 years old jump up and say, "Kill that nigga Rocky"? Crazy. Craziness. But yeah, I go way back, man. You can't interject Star Wars or something like that on me, because I will lose topic. I will jump right on some other shit. And that's another thing I want to say about the term master. Luke Skywalker was not a slave of Yoda. So just because somebody's a master don't mean he was a goddamn slave owner. You know what I mean? You got to stop feeding into all this European concept and you know, it's just ridiculous. Let me tell you, the European wants to measure the world. He wants to name every inch of it. All we want to do is describe it. That's all we do. We describe things. We don't name them. The European names them so we can claim possession of it via his language. And then we run around here and use his language to name our ancestors' lands. Niggas should be ashamed of themselves, man. This shit is crazy. English is not our language. Stop trying to name the world English, because you're just doing the job of your oppressor. We got to get away from this English language. The problem is we got to resurrect our languages. There's not enough people speaking our languages, so they're dead languages. Yes, you may have the script. You may have knowledge of the words, but it's not a living language. What's a living language? Fat meaning good is a living language. Right? Because we know by definition, fat is not something that we would use to express appreciation, or, you know what I mean? But now when you say, it's been, you know, fat, oh, she got a fatty. That's good. We love that, because it's a living language that continues to evolve, right? So our languages, it's not enough of us speaking them, so they don't evolve, and therefore everything is out of context. You know what I mean? I use words from my language, but I use them the same way I would speak English, and that's incorrect. That's a misappropriation of culture. You know what I mean? I could admit it. I'm not going to sit up here in front like I can speak my language. But we got our language. We have it on record. We have the terms. We have the vocabulary. Now it's about using it again. You know what I mean? Like, the misappropriation of culture is what African Americans do the best at it. Anybody in the world. That's why half of our dances that we do are ceremonial dances, and we don't be knowing it, because we just doing it because the shit is in our genetics, in our muscle memory. So we start doing these dances, and them shits, sometimes the dance you doing is a migration path. And if you had the knowledge to draw out the proper dimensions of a map on the ground, and then you did that certain dance, you might find out where your people from, just from some dance that you do naturally, but you're not understanding the history of that dance. So, you know, we got to come together, people. When I say come together, I'm talking about internal. It's a nuclear war going on, right? They ain't dropping bombs. Nuclear. That's small. They invading us with parasites. Shit we can't see. And that, you know, let me tell you something, man. Motherfuckers stick with this science shit. B. That shit is good, but I don't trust nothing about it. You know what I mean? I trust the heart of people who have invested their time in it and have a better understanding of it. You know what I'm saying? I will listen to them. If I have to make a decision based on science, I will seek the advice of someone who I trust and someone who I think is morally upstanding. Because just because somebody got the science don't mean that they're morally upright and going to use it the right way. That's what happens with these debates. You see people using information as a weapon instead of using it to edify and raise up the people. They use it to tear people down. Yeah, misappropriation of culture, man. That's what we do best. That's why you got women running around here with dashikis on and their ass hanging out. Not even knowing, like, is a dashiki even African? Is that their creation? That's what we do, though. We don't want to give up Christmas, so we celebrate Kwanzaa. That's what we do. That's what we doing. Niggas be like, that's what we doing. You know what I mean? Oh, that's what we doing? Oh, fuck it. That's what we doing? Let's do it. Let's go. Okay. No problem. But it is a problem. Then after you've been doing it for so long, it becomes a part of the culture. And then you defend the shit. And 100 years later, we eating fried bread. And the shit's good. I love fried bread. But you know what fried bread was originally for? Why people started eating fried bread? Yeah, look that up. And the shit is good. They got them they be having the little parades and the festivals in my neighborhood. I go right out for my fried bread. I go right to my South American brethren. And I snatch up that corn. That grilled corn. Red Pill, you know about that. I think I got it on film with that corn dropping out your mouth. You was tearing that shit up so bad. Shout out to Red and Blue. Twin pillars. You know. They put the work in. You have to respect that. They put the work in, man. You have to respect the work. Whether you respect the philosophies or the directions, you have to respect the work. Another shout out to Bro Rich, man, the Underground Railroad, UGR. Appreciate you, brother. Peace, Marquise Anthony. Peace, brother. I said your name right. Kala, DJ Primo L, it's another one of my cousins. It's the one that was in the latest video with me. Trying to get him to drop it. Kala, you know, he just do the work, man. Kala build the relationships with other nations. That's what he's been able to do for us. You know, he's building a strong relationship with our Shinnecock family. And, you know, everybody play a part, man. It's my little cousin Kala. I ain't gonna say I raised you because you had a mother. But you know me and your brother, we got you in trouble, right? And we taught you some things I like to hope. I like to think, you know what I'm saying? Gilbert Williams, peace, brother. So I'm hoping that my delay has not got anything to do with protests going on. You know, I'm with a good protest, but not when I'm flying. Nah, let me stop. But I don't know if I'm flying to New York and there's gonna be some crazy shit going on or not. Hoping I get home in time, at least tomorrow, to sit and watch the Super Bowl. How about sports, y'all? Y'all like sports? Or do we not have time for sports because in the times we living in, we don't got time for games? That's what people tell you. We ain't got no time for games, playing games. Well, guess what? Those games are where you learn teamwork. It's where you learn the concept of fairness. You know what I'm saying? It's where you learn rules. And that's where you have to be your absolute best. Because if you ain't your best, you're not going to make the team. So, yeah. I know a lot of y'all ain't got time for sports. It's nonsense. I get it. Now, we talking about playing sports or watching television? What are we talking about? We talking about actually going out there and getting some physical, you know, some putting in some labor, some physical work that's going to improve the conditioning of your body. Talk about that what we talking about when we say sports, or we just talking about sitting back, vegetating, watching the Super Bowl, brother? You could be doing a lot better things with your time than watching the Super Bowl, brother. Yo, for real. I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl, then I might watch Rogue One again, then I might smoke a goddamn blunt. Right? None of that is taken from anything. None of that is taken from my zeal or my desire to learn who I am, to further my education on who I am. None of that. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you gotta get away. And for me, sports, I'd like to think it's the closest to reality that we get. You know what I mean? Even though it's coached and it's controlled by referees and umpires and all that stuff. You know, it's a display of physical talent. But what you don't see is when these people are doing the things physically, you're not taking into consideration their mind is moving even quicker than their body to make this shit happen. I grew up playing basketball, right? And I was nice. I wasn't on the level of my cousin Marshall Greer. He was a beast. You know what I mean? He probably could have made it to the league if it wasn't for some physical setbacks. You know what I mean? I wasn't on his level. But at a point in my time, I'm confident I could have gave it to him. I'm just playing with you, Marsh. Let me live. But when it came to the street ball shit, nah, I gave it to niggas. I gave it to them. So, you know, I'm a sports fan. I love sports. First sport I played was soccer. My mom put me in soccer. I think that's where I met my first white friend, or close white friend. You know what I mean? Yeah, sports, man. Sports is a good way of learning fairness. It's a good way of meeting people of other backgrounds and other beliefs. So, yeah, you just got to have a balance between the two. You're absolutely right. You know what I mean? Big shout out to LeBron James. I've been hating LeBron for years. I'm a Kobe fan. I'm a Laker fan. I don't want to hear that shit. But I got to give it up to LeBron, yo. He's doing things none of these athletes have done, and he's doing it during his career. You know, a lot of athletes started to do the right thing after they retired and all that. Now LeBron's doing it in the midst of his career. And you got to recognize that, along with the talent. For me, that makes him way more of a example for our children than Michael Jordan ever was. And I grew up in the Jordan era, so don't try and start telling me about Jordan. I grew up in the Jordan era. Everybody wanted to be Mike. Trust me. People say I got a little, he got a little Kobe in his game. Nah, nigga, I got a little Mike in my game. Like, everybody used to get mad at Kobe because I said, oh, Kobe copied Mike. Kobe walked like him. He talked like him. You mad at him because he did it better than you, because we all did it. We all tried to walk like Mike. We all tried to talk like Mike, tried to ball like Mike. I seen cats with body, with frames that in no way would allow them to even emulate anything Mike did. And they out there with the Jordan jersey on. Fat niggas out there with the Jordan jersey on. Everybody saw Mike in themselves or tried to implement parts of Mike into who they are. Kobe was just able to do it. You know what I mean? But LeBron, oh, he's a monster. And you know, I respect that, man. Everything he's done, everything he's been through, I respect that, man. You know? How he went back home, how he gave it up for his state. You know, because I always say, we look at the case of Yao Ming, right? Before Yao Ming could even come to the NBA, China told the NBA, y'all got to pay y'all got to pay the people of China $50 million before we even let you talk to him. So what if LeBron James and all these other athletes had knowledge of their indigenous ancestry and were a part of their tribal nations? We could be getting funding from places like the NFL and the NBA And that funding not even come out of the athlete's pocket. He tell them, listen, the same way that they're telling these people, you got to donate money to this group, to that group. Do you think if these brothers didn't know who they were, why wouldn't they, and they had their own nation in place, or they were part of a nation, you don't think that they would demand the same type of thing from the NBA and these other sports that they actually do now? Because, NBA, the NFL, they donate hundreds and thousands of dollars. They donate hundreds and thousands of dollars. They donate hundreds and thousands of dollars to different organizations. And just imagine we had that. Yeah. There's a lot of brothers coming out of Jersey. Right? A lot of brothers coming out of Jersey. I'm not saying they all Lenape, but if you've been in Jersey long enough, you got some Lenape in you. Trust me. Or you've been in some Lenape. How about that? If you ain't Lenape, you've been in some Lenape if you're from Monmouth County. I guarantee that. Or had some Lenape in you. Yeah, it's real talk. But peace, Orlando Williams. Peace, brother. I'm out here in Fort Lauderdale, sunny Florida. Just trying to get home, man. Trying to get back up top. Finish up my projects. How many of y'all have taken the time to watch When Is an Indian Not an Indian When He's a Negro? How many of you have asked 10 of your associates to sit down and watch it? That's what I need. That's what we need. And anybody else who has projects that is educated. Peace, family. Sorry for that interruption. Okay, let me see this. People at my old job look at me crazy when I said we was Indians, and this one white lady swore it was her people. Yeah. See, now, she probably has some native in her, right? Or her grandmother had some native literally in her. See what I'm saying? And so they know they got some ancestry in it, you know what I'm saying? But it's crazy how she could look at herself and include her as being that, but then look at you and exclude you. When she herself probably don't look like the indigenous people that she claims she's a part of, right? Because she's undoubtedly claiming one of these Asian Indian. I don't like to say Mongoloids because they're not all from Mongolia. You know what I mean? That's like kind of like that's a slight. Like, they're not all bad people. I know we want to believe that, but they're not. I've built with so many of them. They're not. It's usually the young ones who aren't even in tune with their elders. Right? So, like, I've had a boy, he says he's Lenape, and I don't deny he's Lenape, but he's also Irish, and he looks Irish. Nothing about him looks Lenape. He looks like a white boy. But he grew up on the reservation, so he's Lenape. He get the check. He get the Lenape check. How you gonna tell him he not Lenape, and the government gives him that Lenape check? So in order to check somebody like that, you have to be knowledgeable, and you have to go into the shit. You just can't tell them I'm an Indian and then not being able to show it. You know what I mean? Keep that to yourself until you can show and prove everything you say. Because if you don't, all you're gonna do is set yourself up for feeling less than you are. Because they're gonna start saying things coming from a basis of information that they have, and they're gonna make you feel less of who you are. Let me tell you something. You are your grandmother's child, whether you know your grandmother's name or not, whether you ever been to her house or not. My grandfather was dead before I was born. See what I'm saying? My mother passed before my son was born. If I didn't tell my son anything about his grandmother, he wouldn't know who she is. But it don't change the fact that he is an extension of her. So, listen, bro. I'm gonna tell you this. You don't gotta prove that shit to nobody. What you need to do is prove it to yourself. And once you prove it to yourself, you're not going to worry about what these other people think of you. Now, if you take it upon yourself to go out and teach others, then you're going to be confronted with these type of conversations. But if you're going to teach others, you need to have a base of information that they can learn from. You know what I'm saying? Telling somebody you Indian is not enough at this point. Because what they're going to do, just like I had a little weird-ass Moor trying to hit me with some juvenile Native American is a construct created by the United States government. And nowhere in my post did I say I was Native American. I said I was Lenni Lenape. And so now he's like, well, they call your people Native Americans. I'm like, well, first of all, Native only means born in, and my people were born here in America. So technically we are Native Americans. But guess what? That's not what we call ourselves, because we self-identify ourselves. So this is what you need to do, bro. You need to find out who your tribe is. And when you tell people who you are, tell them who your tribe was. Because 9 times out of 10, nobody ever even heard of them. They only heard of the umbrella name. Like if I sat up here and ran around and said I'm Navasink, I'm Navasink, I'm Navasink, you would know what nation I come from. So how you gonna counter them? So we gotta stop telling these people we are these general terms. We gotta start being exact. And then when they say, oh, then you pull out the even sharper dagger. You understand? Then you start pulling out the surgical knives. You know what I'm saying? Then you skin them alive, and by the time they even realize they've been skinned alive, you understand? It's already happened. You scalp them so quick, they don't know they lost their top until you hand it to them. Then they're like, what's this? Like, nigga, this shit fucking top. It's a scalp, nigga. You fuck with me. Like, that's what you gotta do. Like, bro, the spook who sat by the door is real. If you don't know the things you need to know to defend yourself, you only need to open your mouth around people who have compassion for you and understand what you've been through, and you deal with it with them. And then when you're able to get to the point where you can go out here and start taking heads, then you start challenging these people. Trust me, I've been around a lot of these Europeans, and I tell them, how do they get a check? Because they descendants of real Indians. What is so hard to believe about that? If your great-great-grandfather was a full-blood Indian, and his grandson married a European, 2 generations later, that great-great-great-grandchild of this Indian chief looks white. But they still that bloodline. Like, this shit is not about appearance. This shit is about bloodline, and the quicker we understand it's about bloodline, the quicker we'll get past all these racial classifications that the European put on you to confuse you of that. Stop worrying about these white people getting these motherfucking checks. We don't want their checks. Let me tell you something about checks and reparations. Once you cash that check this out. If you come work for me and you do a job for me and I pay you, after you cash that check, you can't say nothing to me. You can't tell me I owe you anything. So if they stole our land, right? They stole our land and they owe us. The moment they give us a check and we accept it, that beef is over. We can't complain about that shit. So we want these fake ass Indians to keep getting checks, because that shows and proves they not the real people. It's like my uncle told me, ain't no real indigenous motherfuckers on the reservations. We left the reservation. Do the history, do the knowledge on Brotherington Reservation in New Jersey. It was the first reservation, not in American history, it was the first colonial reservation, meaning after the 13 colonies formed, and what we have is the United States, it was the first reservation created after the Union. The very first reservations were created in Virginia amongst like the Pamunkey, that's Tasha Shee's people. You know what I mean? But those reservations were reserved lands, meaning those were their lands they were already on, right? That's different than them setting aside a piece of land that you never lived on and telling you to go live there. Because once you move from your land, your culture changes. You know, I had these Delaware Indians tell me if I want to learn about being Lenape, come out to Oklahoma. I'm like, well, What soil in Oklahoma is identical to the soil in Lenapehoking? What vegetables and fruits and stuff grow in Oklahoma that grow in Lenapehoking in New Jersey? You're talking about a different culture now. So why do I need to go to Oklahoma to learn how to live in New Jersey? Because all culture is how you interact with your environment. All that other shit is regalia, people. It's dance. It's symbolism, right? But when you lose the truth of something, you need a symbol. Or when you want to, make a powerful statement, you create symbols, and the symbols say so much more than just what the image represents, right? So all these things that they wow us with, you go to a powwow, people dancing and doing all that shit, yeah, that's beautiful, but that's regalia. Now go to their tribal meetings, and you're going to see the same fuckery that go on in corporate meetings. You're going to see the same fuckery that go on, amongst niggas. How do I know this? You can Google the shit. You can Google corruption in native reservations. Just Google corruption in native reservations. I'm putting together a documentary, part 2 of when is an Indian not an Indian, when he's a Negro, and we're gonna deal straight with that. And I got a big surprise for y'all when it comes to this little pale brown eyes. We're gonna put that to rest. Trust me. Yo, you can't let them piss you off, brother. You got other things to do. Fuck them. What they eat don't make you shit. You can't get caught up in what they do. Because at the end of the day, all of them, they not us. They can't stand up to us. They can't do nothing. They're not producing nothing. They're not creating nothing. They haven't created anything new. And they ain't doing the shit they used to do. We done created a new culture since we lost our culture, and that's called hip-hop. And now they're doing hip-hop. The whole world doing hip-hop. That shit come from us. That shit come from Katona Mounds. Yeah. Katona Park was a mound site of the Lenni Lenape. If you know the history of hip-hop, you know what Katona Park is. You know what these parks in the Bronx were. Yeah, bro, let that shit go, man. Don't let them piss you off or take you off your square. You are who you are. You understand? And there's no such thing as African American or black people. There's just no such thing. Even if part of your ancestry came from Africa and you were enslaved, still doesn't validate the construct they created to identify us by. That just makes you an indigenous person from that side of the river and an indigenous person from this side of the river. And for those of us that are indeed African, that's beautiful too, because guess what? You was adopted by the indigenous nations here. Right? Ain't no African nation come here and set up shop. You had people of different nations who came here and were absorbed into the nations here. Simple as that. Yes, Spanish people helped create hip-hop because they're not Spanish. Spanish is a language. They people that live the culture of the land. See what I'm saying? They're not Spanish. That's a language they spoke because they were conquered, right? And they were people that actually lived on the land. They was here the whole time. The people that we call Puerto Rican, Spanish, and all that, they are descendants of indigenous people just like we are. In the northeast, and all across North America, we were not conquered by Spanish. That happened in the South, and in the South and in Central America, right? Parts of this deep South and in Central America and the Caribbean islands. That's why they speak what they speak. Has to deal with a demarcation line that the Pope drew up, but that's why they speak what they speak. And we speak what we speak. But we're brothers. We're the same people. We're the same people. There was a demarcation line drawn by the Pope that said from this side over, Spain has, and from this side over, England has. The English have. So all that other stuff is like, we got to get away from that shit. Stop being mad at somebody. Stop thinking Puerto Ricans is somebody different than you. Yo, my brother, pardon me. Oh yeah, no, my brother. My brother, we have same fathers, but his mother is Irish. You think he's not my brother? You think he's not entitled to our father's estate? Why isn't he? See, we be trying to fucking Donald Trump nature. How you gonna sign an executive order that trumps nature? You feel me? How you gonna decide that because this person don't look like you, they not your family? How do you decide that? And how is it valid? You can't. All you can do is walk in the path that your ancestors made for you. And where they went wrong, you got to be able to identify it and correct the mistake. Now, if you're saying the mistake is our ancestors went wrong because they intermixed with Europeans, then that is such a shallow and limited answer because you don't know the actual history. That is the simple way of dealing with it. And that's what simple-minded people do. Life ain't that simple. It's not that simple. And we got to put away all our prejudices and all of our predetermined ideas of what was going on here in the Americas. Now, if you're all about going back to Africa, and that's where your salvation is, nobody's stopping you. No, I don't think Trump is stopping anybody from leaving the country. Well, he's trying to now. If you owe taxes, I think the IRS is trying to get him to do something. But, we got to, you got to get the, like, our people have been hurt. You know what I'm saying? And we carry that pain with us. My son is successful. He's 21, successful, got a good job. You know why? Because he's not bitter. He's not bitter. Unlike his father. I was bitter growing up. I saw the differences. Understand? I started to feed into all the bullshit. If it wasn't for my family being the way we are and interacting with different nations the way we do and having the history we have, I'd be a bitter, upset person. And even to some degree, I am bitter and upset. You know what I'm saying? I'm bitter that we had to go through the things we went through. But I know teaching that bitterness and that hate to the next generations ain't gonna do it. Trust me, all we gotta do is show them the truth, and they gonna get it. They gonna create a new world. You know, we might not be able to see it shit, but it's gonna happen. That sister today, I don't know when she made that post, but that young sister who looks, to me, she looks like a baby. She looks like a baby to me, but she's powerful. You know how Tupac say, it ain't gonna be me who changes the world. You know what I mean? Hopefully I can just spark the mind of someone who will. And that's what we as adults should be trying to do. To spark the mind of somebody who will. When I say adult, I'm talking about 15, 16 on up. You know what I mean? I'm talking about, we gotta start grooming these babies from the womb. And they're gonna be the ones to make the change. You know what I mean? If you're 21 and you're learning this stuff now, you got to sacrifice yourself. Learn as much as you can so you can raise the next generation, your babies, with this shit pure from the beginning. You know what I mean? Once you do that, then it's natural, it's in them. And you don't have to convince them who they are, they already know who they are. And then they can move on it. Yep, super simple. For real, I appreciate everybody who's tuned in and listening. I gotta go to the bathroom, and I don't know. I might pop back on later. We'll see. Peace to the family. Peace to everybody. Thank you for spending a little time with me. I appreciate you. Appreciate your time and everything. Peace, family. Wanisha.